Good morning, Sean, Katie, and Adam. How are you doing this morning? Good morning. Hope you're all doing well and you're ready for your math. Going to lesson 7 on your math, Algebra 1, lesson 7, page 436, completing the square. All right, so you've already learned two methods for solving quadratic equations. The first one was in lesson 8-9, where you learned about factoring. And the second way you've learned was in lesson 9-1, where you learned about the quadratic equation where you square root of both sides. Today you're going to learn the third method for solving quadratic equation. It's called completing the square. And at first it might seem a little bit difficult, but it really isn't that difficult. You like my hat? And it has some details you need to remember. So we're going to go through here, and I'm going to show you the 3 examples they give you in the book. I'm going to work them here on the board, and then I'll do 1 or 2 more from the lesson, and then you'll be on your own. So the very first example they give you, you see this, okay, is you have, well, don't like that pen. Let's try this one. Much better. Okay, x squared negative 6x negative 10 equals 0. So always have it in the quadratic form. And then this example here does not have a coefficient here, so this is how you solve it. First step is to move this constant over to the right side. So we have to add 10 here, and we have to add 10 here. So now we have this term, correct? That's the very first step, is moving the constant over to the right side. The next step will be is taking the x factor, the x efficient here, and divide this coefficient by 2. Always divide it by 2. And then you square that and add it to both sides. So just look at this. Negative 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So you have to add 9 to both sides. So then we're going to have this. X squared negative 6x plus 9 equals, and when you add a 9 here, now you have 19. That's your second step. So the first step is adding the constant, or moving the constant over to the right side. The second step is dividing this by 2, this x number, squaring it, and adding it to both sides. So I guess that's 3 and 4 steps. And once that's complete, you have now a perfect square. Okay? This here is a perfect square. X negative 3 squared. All right? And that's what we're trying to do today. We're trying to get this into a perfect square. And that's all we have to do. That was the first example. The second example they give you is 2x squared plus 8x plus 4 equals 0. Now in this case, there is one step before you move the constant over. The reason there's another step involved is look at the coefficient of your x squared term. Here's your x term, here's your x squared term. There's a coefficient of 2. That may never be. You need to get rid of that 2, so that means we have to divide the whole thing by that coefficient, 2. So this divided by 2 just makes 1. This divided by 2 is 4x. This divided by 2 is 2. And this divided by 2 is still 0. Now you have this form. And now you can go back what we said originally about, you still with me? About the first step. Take the constant and move it over here. So we'll take away 2 and take away 2. So now you have x squared plus 4x equals negative 2. Okay, so now take this one, this x expression, divide it by 2, remember? Which 4 divided by 2 is 2. Square it, which is 4. Add 4 to both sides. So now you have x squared plus 4x plus 4, and this plus 4 is going to make a 2, because negative 2 plus 4 makes a 2. Now you have this term. So once you're done with that, this should be a perfect square. Check it out. Is it a perfect square? X plus 2 squared. Yes, it is. Okay, so that's the other one. Let's go to the next page. Sometimes it doesn't come out evenly. It's a fraction form. So x squared plus 3x minus 2 equals 0. Remember the first step. In this here, there's no coefficient here, so you can just go immediately move the constant over to the right side. You have x squared plus 3x equals 2. Divide this by 2. Being that you can't, you have to leave it in a fraction form. So we're going to just go like that. For example, I'm just going to write it out here for you so that you can see. 3 divided by 2, we can't divide it evenly, so we leave it in a fraction form, and now we square it. In other words, we take it times 3, 2. We take the times itself. That makes 9/4, 9 over 4. So we divided it by 2, we squared it, we have 9/4. That 9/4 is what you have to add to both sides of the equation. So you will have x squared plus 3x, now watch carefully, plus 9 over 4. But over here, what is the whole number 2 plus 9/4? Well, the simplest way to do that is think of this whole number and put it in a fraction form. So in other words, we want to have a denominator of 4. So what does 2 equal with a denominator of 4? It has to be 8. 2 equals 8/4. So this 2 is equivalent to 8/4 plus the 9/4 is 17/4. Now you have performed the perfect, or have completed the square. You have made a perfect square. So when you have fractions like that, remember, don't divide them. 3 over 2, square it, 9 over 4. Take the 9 over 4 to both sides. Remember, if this is a whole number, change it to a fraction, equivalent fraction with this denominator. And then add it. It's a lot easier to add. Okay? So let's go to number 1. You can pause your video, try to do number 1 on your own, and then come back to see if you are correct. Okay, so we're going to do number 1. X squared minus 8x plus 3 equals 0. Move the constant over to the right side. You have x squared minus 8x equals negative 3. Divide this by 2, which is 4. Square it, which is 16. And add 16 to both sides. So you have x squared negative 8x plus 16. Add 16 to this side, you have 13. Do we have a perfect square? We do. So that is your final answer for that problem number 1 on page 437. Okay, go to number 2. Again, pause your video and see if you can come up with the correct answer, number 2. And again, I will do it on the board, and you can come back and see if you're right. Okay, number 2. X squared negative 14x plus 13 equals 0. Move the constant over to the right. Equals negative 13. Divide by 2, which is 7. Square it, which is 49. Add 49 to both sides. So you have plus 49. Over here, what's 13 plus 49? Is 26. So your answer for number 2, no, I'm sorry, did I do that wrong? I think I did. 36, there we go, would be this answer right here. Okay, I'm not going to do number 3. It's done very much the same way, but I'm going to go back and do number, why don't we do number 43. Okay, x squared plus 5x plus 1 equals 0. Move the constant over to the right. X squared plus 5x equals negative 1. Okay. Divide this by 2, which is going to be what? 5 over 2. Square it. It's going to be 25 over 4. All right. Add 25 over 4 to both sides. So now we have x squared plus 5x plus 25 over 4 equals, so what's 1, negative 1 plus 25 over 4? So again, think, what does 1 equal with a denominator of 4? 4/4, right? Yeah. So this is a negative 4/4 plus a 25 4/4. You have a 21 over 4. So that's the answer for number 43. Do you have any questions with that? Hopefully that makes sense to you. It's pretty basic, but it's also the steps you have to, it's very orderly, just like algebra always is, very orderly. Make sure you do it step by step. Make sure you pay close attention to the negatives, and you'll be just fine. I hope you have a very buggy day.